Hey there, and welcome to High Vibe in It. I'm Lindsay Robinson, hypnotherapist and success mindset expert.
And I'm Kelsey Aida, inspirational author and blogger / manifesting expert. And we're best friends who were inspired to create a self-development podcast with a spiritual twist. To us, living a high vibe life is all about creating with intention, prioritizing how you feel, and making empowered choices that support your highest potential.
Every week, we're here to help you learn how to live a more aligned, inspired life, start owning your power, and manifest the life of your dreams. Visit highvibeinit.com to connect with us on social media and learn about more ways we can help. And don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode.
Now, we have a ton of value to offer you today, so let's dive in. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Thank you for joining us. I think I say the same exact thing every time we hop on, which is funny because now it's been like almost 100 episodes. So I'm curious to go back and listen. Do I always say hello? Do I say, hey, what's up? Like, Lindsay,
We should just start it once and say, what's up?
What's up?
See how
What's
people
up,
receive.
everybody? It's Kelsey and Lindsay, your homegirls, your spiritual self-help advisor friends who are here to bring you some awesomeness today. Today, we are revisiting the theme, the ever constant, ever evolving theme of self-love and how we can practice more self-love in our daily lives, how we can evolve through self-love, some traits of people who love themselves and how we can start to work towards those more. And the fact of the matter is, if you're listening to this show and investing time in your own well-being, you already love yourself. We're not saying, oh, you hate yourself, you suck, get on the self-love bandwagon. It's more of like, here's some more ways to practice and go deeper and evolve with it and enjoy it even more.
Yeah, because some of us can relate to the idea, well, I like myself, but do I love myself completely? And that's what we're going to kind of dive into
let's
today.
talk about that because I want to make a distinction between the two. This is a great point. You don't have to like yourself in order to love yourself. So naturally, in a rational mind, we think like is like level 1 and love is like level 2. But it doesn't actually work like that in the self-love realm because you can love yourself without liking yourself.
Okay, so what is an example of what do you mean?
Yes,
because
I'll give you an example because this is confusing.
Your physical self, like I love myself, but I don't like how I look. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, it could manifest in that way. So if we want to use that example, it could be like, I love my stretch marks because they represent like this, they helped me to birth this child, but I don't like looking at them. You know, does that make sense? Like you can still love them for the value that they gave you and the reason that they're there, but you don't have to be like excited about it per se. Or a better example is like, okay, so for me, one of my biggest aspects is like my anxious part, right? So, of course, I don't like that I have an anxious part. I don't like worrying. I don't like being anxious, but I love my anxiety because it is trying to protect me. It's trying to warn me. It developed from just being like someone who really cares a lot. It means that I'm a person who cares about my life. So for the truth of my anxiety, I love it and I accept it and I take it in as a part of myself, but that doesn't mean that I have to love that I have anxiety or that I have to like it. Does that make sense?
So let me feed it. Let me just take it back to you and you can tell me if I'm saying it the way that you're meaning it. So
Okay.
I feel like what you're saying is you can love yourself as a whole, but you don't have to like every single aspect about yourself to love yourself as a whole. Because the anxiety is just an aspect.
Yeah, and you don't have to always like yourself. Like I feel like you're going to feel different about yourself on different days, but that doesn't mean that you don't love yourself. So like for example, like 2 days before my period, every single month when my hormones dip and I have like zero serotonin in my brain, I literally think that I suck at everything. I'm so ugly. I can't do anything. Nothing is possible for me. And if you know me, this is very unlike my actual true personality, right? For a whole day, I go into this dip and I don't like that I do that, but I love myself for being a woman and holding space for myself going through that experience and just recognizing that this is just my hormonal influx and this isn't actually my truth and I'm just going to ride it out. So does that make sense? In that moment, I'm loving myself, but I don't like that about
So you're
myself.
talking about moments, you're talking about pieces, you're talking about aspects.
Right.
I felt like what you're saying is, I love myself, but I never like myself. And so I'm like, wait, sometimes you can. Sometimes you
Right.
can like and love yourself. Like, I really do like myself. I always like myself, but it's opposite for me because sometimes I'm like, but how much do I really love myself all the time? And that, I think, the reason I brought it up in the beginning is because I feel like no matter where you are on the path, whether you are just like, I love myself completely, or where you're like me, where you're like, yeah, I love myself, but how much and how often can I really say that? But I always like I think I'm awesome. I think I'm pretty damn cool, and I think anyone who gets to hang out with me is one of the cool kids too. But love myself, love every part of myself, love, the stuff like you talk about shadow work. We both do a lot. Do I love the shadow parts yet? I think we're all a work in progress. Even if you're at the almost top of the mountain, you could still benefit from this episode and still find ways to maybe smooth the rough edges. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, that totally makes sense. And I don't think there's ever a moment or that we should even make it a goal that, oh, I love myself 1,000,000% and now
Right.
I'm perfect and everything's great and I never
Yeah.
have any inner turmoil. Like,
What is
that's
your
not
what
gonna
is your
happen.
What is your idea of someone who does completely love and accept myself? Is it like Buddha? What is that? What is that? Who
Well,
does
it's
that?
easy to like love and accept yourself when all you do is like meditate under a tree. Like it's harder in actual life when you have like relationships and temptations and like trauma and a past. So, well, here's what I can say. There are definitely traits of people who love themselves, and I do feel like it's on a spectrum of
Yeah.
like if you love yourself more often or less often. And the goal would be to practice it more if that's like if you care
Yeah.
about feeling good, you know? So,
Yeah. So that's what we can go into is like, what
yeah.
do you get? What do you get when you love yourself? And I know a lot of people will be thinking back on the benefits they receive from loving yourself, but let's kind of, I guess, go back and forth with the kind of positives that you get when you start to notice that you love yourself.
Yeah. Well, I want to tell a little story that will demonstrate the effects.
Love it.
So, my conscious awakening spiritual embarkment started after a severe depression. And I became very obsessed with the idea of manifesting because it's like spirituality 101, right? You're like, I can create anything I want. All I have to do is think positive. I can do it. It's so easy. Oh my God, I'm going to control the fuck out of my life. It's going to be so great. And then you become obsessed with that only to realize, okay, well, why isn't everything that I'm asking for happening right away? I thought that was how it's supposed to work. What's going on? And that was when I got introduced to more of the healing work and releasing your limiting beliefs and working through your personal blockages and changing your identity and doing all the things that you have to do in order to become the person who can sustain and receive the manifestations that you're asking for, right?
Hmm.
And I feel like that whole journey of becoming is a healing, aka a self-love journey, because people who love themselves ultimately they care about how they feel, they want to enjoy their life, um, and they want to, I feel like, have inner peace, which is similar to like enlightenment. So I feel like enlightenment and self-love kind of are tangled up in this little
Yeah.
spiritual personal development web, if you will. And how it's manifested as benefit for me in my life is I'm so much more accepting of all these different parts of myself. I understand myself so much better from doing self exploration and getting to know what I need and what I want. When you figure out what you need and what you want, you can go towards it more quickly, more directly, without manipulating, without dysfunction. My relationships are all so much better because the relationship that I have with myself gets reflected to me in my outer relationships, and how I treat myself is how I'm going to treat other people. So I just think that I treat myself better. I treat everybody in my life better. Manifesting is much more easy because I'm more in alignment. I'm more healed. I'm always working towards feeling more whole and healed and better, lighter, relief. It's changed my life in every way for the better. And it's not just like rainbows and bubble baths and eating vegetables. Like self love is really how can you consciously get to know yourself better, get to know what you need, what you want, and what you like, and give that to yourself, and not, deny yourself of things that you need, want, or like, and to not be dysfunctional in your life where it's causing you pain and suffering, and just noticing different patterns and doing different healing work is really, I feel like, where the juice is at, and it's only benefited me exponentially in every single area of my life.
So we have to tell you guys about our favorite meditation app right now, which is the all wonderful Headspace. I don't know if you guys are already using it, but if you aren't, you need to at least give it a try because it is one of my favorites. I've tried them all. What I love about it is it's one of the only meditation apps advancing the field of mindfulness and meditation through clinically validated research. Also, they have really cute, easy to use app. It's full of guided meditations where they really break it down and help you visualize what you're doing so you can be fully immersed in the experience. I always recommend this to people who have struggled with meditation because I think it's one of the fastest and easiest ways to learn how to do it in a way that's actually effective for you. Also, they can help you feel better, whatever your situation is. So if you're overwhelmed, Headspace has a 3-minute SOS meditation that's perfect for you. If you have trouble falling asleep, Headspace has wind down sessions that their members swear by. And for parents, Headspace even has morning meditations you can do with your kids, which is so cute and awesome. Headspace approach to mindfulness can help you to reduce stress, improve sleep, boost focus, and increase your overall sense of well-being. I seriously love this app and cannot recommend it enough. They are backed by 25 published studies on its benefits, 600,000 5-star reviews, whoa, and over 60 million downloads. So if you guys aren't using Headspace, you need to get on it because Headspace is awesome and it makes it easier for you to build a life-changing meditation practice with mindfulness that works for you on your schedule, anytime, anywhere.
You deserve to feel happier, and Headspace is meditation made simple. So go to headspace.com/vibin for 1 month free. That's headspace.com/VIBIN with access to Headspace's full library of meditations for every situation. Go get your free month trial. This is the best deal offered right now. So go to headspace.com/VIBIN today. Yeah. I mean, if you have found us, one of us or both of us, through and pretty much any avenue that you find us through, is you've probably come across manifesting or law of attraction. I think that's one of the main roads to find Lindsay and Kelsey. Now, if we're taking that route, which is a huge bulk of what we talk about, the biggest roadblock, if you will, to manifesting what you want is that deep that you might have to go searching for, that deep belief that, but do I really get this? But am I really worthy of this? But, do I deserve this? You see other people getting what they want, but could it really happen for me? And no matter how you translate that, it's a self-love thing. It's a self-acceptance thing. It's a, they can, but I can't, on some level. You might not even know that it's happening, but if you're receiving a block of some kind and it's really hard for you to push through it, I can tell you for sure in my work, chances are 90% of the time it's a worthiness thing. So if that's always one of the first things that we look at when in my programs, and Kelsey has a whole freaking retreat about it.
That's right.
It's important. So when we look at this and when we talk about it, it's because it can hold you back in so many areas if this is something that you need to work on. However, the flip side of it, as Kelsey illustrated, if you can begin to acknowledge and give yourself what you want, what you need in the moment, and know that you are deserving of getting what you need and what you want. We'll start with getting what you need, and then getting what you want becomes easier because you deserve both. Then everything becomes easy. Your relationships, your personal successes, how you feel throughout the day, manifesting what you want, becomes, it's like that releasing that resistance. If we're using Abraham Hicks' metaphor of you want to, your instinct is to swim upstream, but there's nothing up there. It's just your need to kind of work and work and work. But the self-love work that you do, that is the work. And then when you can do that, you just kind of float. It releases that resistance and you float down to the pot of gold.
Yeah.
Whatever's down there, whatever it is you want.
Exactly. And here's why it's so beneficial and why it works so good from a law of attraction standpoint. Self-love helps you to create inner harmony.
Yeah.
Inner harmony translates to outer harmony. The law of attraction, also called the law of mirroring, is only going to show you what's going on inside of you. The more peace and harmony you have inside of you, the more peaceful and harmonious your circumstances become. It's not magic, it's just the mirroring of life. It wants us to look at what's going on the inside, but we're so outwardly focused that we're like, ooh, manifest this, manifest that, create this, create that. And it's like, okay, well, where's your starting point? And let's take that information and look inward, not from a judgment standpoint, but from a curious, compassionate, intrigued standpoint of, if this is happening in my life, is this happening internally for me? How can we resolve that? How can we bring healing there? And then boom, that's how you change your life. So I would even argue like self-love is a more direct path to easier manifestation. Like manifesting is so fun and there's so many practices and tools, and we're probably always going to talk about it because we love it. But like, this is what it takes to become the person who can easily manifest whatever you want.
Step one.
Yeah. Like you might as well just start here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Spoiler,
that's
the
why
answer
I'm
is always
such a big like preacher of self-love these days. And people ask me questions about manifesting. And I'm just like, let's take it back to the root.
Yeah.
Why do you actually want this thing? It's probably going to lead you to a need or a preference. And when you can know that about yourself, know why you've come to need that, know who you are, how you are, what makes you feel better, what makes you feel loved, then it's so easy to create that harmony and healing, and your life just up levels naturally without you having to try and control it through AKA manifesting every single detail of every single thing.
Yeah. And we always talk about, you're not really ever trying to manifest a thing. You are almost always trying to manifest a feeling that you're going to get from that thing, and trying to find, we also talk about finding ways in your life now that you can manifest that or feel it on some level. Where in your life do you already have this to some extent? Finding out where that is and living in that vibration of whatever that feeling is a practice of self-love. And that's a great way to practice it. Find where you can get it now and just do it and feel it and accept it, and know that by doing this, you are practicing self-love and giving yourself what it is you need. And that way you feel it now. The universe says, oh, they like this feeling. Okay, let's bring more of that to them, rather than constantly chasing and chasing and chasing and, always chasing forever.
Yeah, that's not sustainable or fun.
No, definitely not fun.
Yeah, because you can definitely, I think, on the manifesting journey, kid yourself that, oh, I'm creating, but really what you're doing is chasing. You say that you're creating, but actually you're just coming from a sponsoring energy of like, I need this.
And let's be clear, Kelsey and I are speaking from lots of experience in this area.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
For sure.
So I want to talk about some traits of people who love themselves, because we almost were about to touch on it, but then we kind of went into some other stuff. And Lindsay, I want to get your 2 cents too of like, when you see certain people, how can you know that they love themselves? And some like signs that I've noticed in my career doing this work and just in my daily life is that the number one thing that separates someone who loves themselves from someone who doesn't is that people who love themselves first and foremost just really care about how they feel. They really tend to their feelings, their needs, their desires. They go for what they want. They follow their joy. They move towards relief. They are kind to themselves, compassionate to themselves, understanding of themselves. They are constantly getting to know themselves, because the better you know yourself, the better your life can be. They are really good to other people, kids and animals, because like I said, your relationships are going to be reflected, and you can only love other people like to the degree that you love yourself. And those are some of my big ones. What do you have so far?
So, as you said, it is a spectrum, and I will say, I don't know how to say this in the right way that's not going to offend someone, so I'm just going to say it. A lot of people.
It's 2021. You're going to offend somebody, okay?
If you are offended, I'm very sorry, but what are you going to do? So listen, I have noticed a theme in a lot of my clients that come to me. I'll notice that one of the biggest giveaways for me making a mental note of like, maybe we should work on some worthiness or self-love is how as it's so funny because you're like, how nice they are to kids and animals. Yes, perfect. But also to me, a sign that they maybe need to work on some worthiness is if they go over and beyond and say yes when they want to say no, so yes, being kind and loving others, yes, of course. However, it is a very fine line between like that is a sign of self-love versus that is a sign of a doormat and actually the opposite.
Right,
So I
exactly.
know
Because it
what
can
you're
go
saying.
either way too far in
Yeah.
a direction where you're
Yeah,
just not like helping yourself.
exactly.
Yeah.
If you're pleasing others to the point of you feeling like maybe you know,
Yeah, if it's
eh,
depleting you or causing
exactly.
you detriment,
So
then
that's
that's
just
not,
a
yeah.
quick distinction I want to make. But again, I know exactly what you're saying is
Mhm.
the healthy version. I just had to touch on that. And also one thing that I notice, I'm better at noticing the lack of because it's just where my attention goes.
Yeah, so let's go there. People who
So,
don't love themselves,
or
XYZ,
I would say maybe needs
or love
maybe
themselves less or could
right.
use a little more self-love.
Could use a little support in that area,
Hmm.
would be just the very subtle ways of how they talk about themselves. Because it is literally my job to hear you talk about yourself. And in doing it so long, I mean, I can't help it at this point. I'll notice things they say and I'm like, I gotta stop you. And I have to stop them. Like I can't even let them continue the sentence because that's when we want to start rewiring it and thinking about it. So certain things some of them very obvious and some of them maybe not so obvious where, they could say like I'm really bad at blah blah blah. And just, what are you good at though? Cuz like if I'm really bad at keeping a schedule, you're really good at not keeping a schedule. Like that's just a quick way to say it. So anytime you start a sentence with I hate, I'm bad at, or I suck at, um is a really big giveaway because that's not conscious. That's complete subconscious. And if it's done so much to get into subconscious, it probably means that it's been festering for a while. And even things that seem lighthearted can turn into unknowingly these huge things that now I have to work on because it's kind of manifesting in all areas of my life. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So self-talk for me is a big one. Self-talk is a big one. And then the first one I said, which one? What did I say? The first one.
I don't know because I was thinking of something that I was gonna say next
Oh
to add to
man.
your
Well, it was
point.
good. Whatever. The just going above and beyond, maybe
Oh,
too much for
overextending
people.
yourself. Yeah.
Overextending, probably spreading yourself too thin and spending your energy where you maybe shouldn't. And then the self-talk. That's how I notice. And I'll also notice on the flip side, if somebody comes to me and they have really good self-talk, um, usually I'm like, what are you here for? Because it's the bulk of people that come to me usually need to work on worthiness and self-love to some extent. But I definitely give them I make sure they know that their self-talk is very, very healthy because it's not common, is it, for us to come across people in day-to-day life that have really good self-talk and really good thoughts about themselves. It's just not as common as I like it to be.
Well, yeah, because we learn it from our parents and our grandparents and our teachers and our friends and like it. However, people talk to you is how you're gonna learn to talk to yourself. So were
Or
people raising
yeah,
you up or not? You know?
right. And the biggest offender, I think, that seems innocent but is a villain, okay, is the belief that talking about your achievements is bragging. Like I cannot say I can't handle it. I can't deal. It's so infuriating. Where it sounds like, growing up, well, don't brag about yourself.
Yeah, I'm
They
with you
have
on
no
that.
idea what they're doing to people when they say things seemingly innocent. Like
I think
if you're sitting here thinking
humility
that
is
talking
like so overrated.
so overrated and it's such a lie. And we've talked about this before, Kelsey. The only reason people tell you not to brag is because you might make someone else feel a certain type of way about something you worked hard to accomplish. Like, what?
Right. I would say in a dysfunctional way, people are going to receive your accolades and your success and your confidence as a threat to their own
Right.
or meaning that there's less success for them to have, which is just a lack mentality. That's not true. And best case scenario, you speaking your truth and recognizing your brilliance and speaking about your own greatness is going to inspire others. Like, oh, look at what she did. Maybe I can do that too. Or look at how much she owns her worth. Like, I want to do that too. So it's either going to inspire or like piss off people, but it's not your job to regulate other people's feelings.
Exactly.
Codependent people out there.
Exactly. Well, right. And the reason that I bring it up is because I also want to be like, I think it's obvious. I don't think I need to say this, but I probably do. Now, I don't want people going around being like, guess what I did? What have you done? Like, that's so stupid. Like, don't do that.
Well, because
obviously.
conceit is when you say whatever about yourself with the sponsoring energy of, and that makes me better than you.
Yeah.
But if you take away the and that makes me better than you, and it's just and that makes me awesome, has nothing to do with anybody else, it's just you, then that's a completely different thing. That's not
and
conceit.
that is what we're advocating for. Like, I would never advocate for, and I teach this to my kids too. Like, should you talk about your accomplishments? Absolutely. Should you expect support? Maybe not, but you still get to talk about it. You should never, ever, ever assume that you're better than anyone because of anything you accomplish. You should just use it as an invitation, maybe, to allow others to do the same thing. We talk about, giving that permission slip to do whatever the hell you want. And that's all we're about on the show and in our lives is you get to do what you want and you get to be proud of what you do. You just don't get to use it as ammo to make someone else feel bad.
Attention, all ladies with periods. I have some information that is going to make your life way better and your period much more enjoyable. So I don't know if you guys have heard about Flex yet, but Flex is a company that is innovating period care with products that are body safe, made for comfort, and made to keep you moving. My personal favorite is the Flex Disc, which is a one-time use menstrual disc that fits perfectly inside your body. It's kind of like a hair tie with plastic attached to it to like catch the blood, and it fits right inside of you so you don't even feel it once it goes in. And it's really easy to put in, really easy to remove. It can be worn for up to 12 hours and holds as much as 3 super tampons, so that's nice. You don't have to change it out super often like you would with a tampon or a pad. It's not a cup. It's unlike any other period product you've ever seen before. Like I said, think hair tie, very small and squishy, so it goes up there and it's really easy. You don't even notice. And it's the only product you can wear for mess-free period sex. Who doesn't love that? You are liberated. You can have sex on your period now with this product. So I can't recommend it enough. Also, they reduce waste by 60% compared to pads and tampons. So the planet will thank you too.
And if you want to go zero waste, check out the Flex Cup, which is a reusable cup made with a velvety soft material for a comfortable fit. If you've already thought about trying a menstrual cup, this is the one. Flex offers the only menstrual cup on the market with a pull tab, so you can remove it in the same way that you remove a tampon. It's so easy, you already know how to do it. Your Flex Cup is 100% reusable and lasts for years, plus it's completely body safe and non-toxic. Yay for non-toxic. So say goodbye to leaks, mess, and stress, and say hello to healthier periods for people and the planet with Flex. Go to flexfits.com and use code VIBIN for 20% off your Flex Disc Starter Kit or 10% off your first Flex Cup, plus free U.S. shipping. That's code VIBIN at flexfits.com. That's FLEX fits.com. If they do feel bad, it's not your fault necessarily, unless you're doing it on purpose. But I don't think anyone listening to us would be doing it on purpose. And people that are worried about bragging are the same people that would never, ever, ever use their accomplishments to put someone down on purpose. So it's like, it's just such a backwards belief, and it just drives me nuts to no end. I can't handle it.
Yeah, like why are you like withholding your own light and shine from the world just to fit in? Like, no, I'm not playing that game.
I was so over fitting in when I was in like 6th grade.
Well, middle school is hard, man. I think we all were trying to fit in with our braces and our acne and hormones and like having crushes on people and starting your period. That's like the worst time.
Yeah, I was just over it. This is over it. I wasn't like antisocial, but I definitely just didn't subscribe to a certain group at all. And I had my friends, and I very much like did not want to be around people who didn't want to be around me. So I was just like, I don't know. I was never goth. Like, I don't know. Who were you goth in high school? Who were you in middle school and high school? Were you the popular kid?
I was popular, but I think I was also a little bit alternative. In high school, I had a red streak in my hair, but like on the underneath.
Oh, snap.
And every day I would dress, and my friends would say I'd have a different theme. So they'd be like, oh, today's like Gypsy Bohemian Kelsey, or today's like Kelsey from the 50s. Like, I didn't have like a defined style or like identity. I was just all over the place. Like, one day I'd be like Gwen Stefani, the next day I'd be like freaking, I don't know, Esmeralda.
You and me are 10 years apart. So our high school and middle school experience is probably super different based on the styles. But I went to middle school and high school in the era of like the girls wearing the boxer shorts and the baggy jeans, like super baggy jeans, and like the tight shirt on top. And so that's what I would wear. I had like the boxer line coming up above my jeans, like and that was like cool. And like the super belly bell bottoms that dragged in the dirt. Come on, ladies. Some of you know what I'm talking about. You know, like muddy, ripped jeans on the bottom because you had to walk on them all day. And like the double bun. You know what I mean? The pigtail buns.
I rocked a double bun.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay,
when I was younger.
Our pie charts are coming to
not like in the Venn diagram. But there's definitely a yearbook picture of me out there somewhere where I have double buns and a little gap in my middle teeth, and I'm smiling with my double buns. And I was wearing a choker. I'd wear like a choker every day.
I'd have the choker.
That was my thing.
Yeah, we did the choker, the tons of bracelets. Oh my gosh, and the girls are doing that now, which is so weird. I know how my mom feels when we started wearing like flare jeans and she wore bell bottoms. She'd be like, that's what I wore. I'm like, whatever, mom, it's cool now. It wasn't cool then. Now I know what that feeling is. It's so weird.
Trends are so weird. And speaking of trends, self-love is trending, which is why we are talking about it and clearing up the misconceptions and getting to the root of what it actually is. Because you can do a Pinterest search and search for self-care and self-love, and you'll get a million different ways to like take care of like your body. I feel like go for a walk, take a bath, eat good foods, and that's all great. But that's just one little piece of the puzzle. I think there's much deeper healing to be done in the realm of self-love in order to not claim that you love yourself, but if you're really serious about it, like, it's gonna take more than a bubble bath, you know?
Yeah.
That's just the truth of the nature of self-love. So speaking of that, I would say let's go into some practical exercises, techniques, daily things that people can do to elevate their self-love game and practice loving themselves more, because like anything else, it's a muscle, and the more you work it, the stronger it gets, the easier it becomes for you to lift that 30 pounds or whatever it is. I can't lift 30 pounds, not with my arms, but I can push a lot of weight with my legs, which is pretty exciting. And I would say my weightlifting routine at the gym is definitely a part of my self-lovery.
There you go. See, and I think I'm not like an active person, which is so disappointing because I got my 23andMe back and I have the muscle, whatever it's called, the type of muscle that builds very quickly.
Ooh.
And so they're like, you'd be great as a sprinter or a runner or and I'm just like, I don't want to do any of that. They wasted this. God wasted this body on this brain. I'm telling you. It's really great for making babies though. Super good at that.
She is good at that.
She's so good at that.
3-time champion.
3 for 3. So I would say I would love to go for like, hold on. My baby's coming in. Speaking of baby making skills, it's okay. My husband's on it. He just locked it from the outside. Thank you. Okay. I think the best place is to go at the beginning. So if you're not at this point on can we call it like a board game? And then like if you're on the starting square versus like at the end, I think Kelsey would probably be like toward Candyland Mountain. I'd probably be on like, I don't know, Candy Cane Lane, like the first quarter of it. Anyway,
well, if we weren't gonna compare ourselves, but yes, I appreciate the analogy.
You've just been working at it so much longer, you know, and I don't know that makes you farther progressed because again, it's so
it just makes me more practiced.
And that's what reminded me. So that you were talking about how it's a muscle. Now, for a lot of us, we've been working out the don't brag about your stuff, and the self-deprecating, well, I'm not really good at this. Like, it's almost rewarded to talk that way about yourself, like, because it makes other people feel better.
Well, if you didn't get rewarded doing it, you wouldn't
Yeah,
keep doing it. There's
exactly.
always a payoff.
No, totally. And so that muscle for us is probably a lot more seasoned, a lot more worked out, a lot bigger. Whereas the self-love muscle, maybe it's okay to feel good about my stuff. Maybe it's okay to, talk nice about myself. That's probably not as, it's probably very weak. So to get started, the best place I have found for myself is to acknowledge how you're feeling and explore it, acknowledge it, honor it, and explore why. Because we always say this on the show, but every feeling, every thought, every belief you have is trying to send you a message. It's all coming from love. It's all coming from wanting to take care of you. Despite what you think about yourself, your true self, is always trying to take care of you. It is always coming from a place of love and nurturing, and however that translates to you will make you feel a certain type of way. And so exploring that and going back to why you feel that way is such a good place to start in getting to know yourself. Because Kelsey, I think you'll agree with me, once you truly know who you are, you cannot help but love yourself.
Right, when you know the truth of you, because the truth is that you're already perfect and lovable and whole from the perspective of source or God or the creator, what universe, whatever you want to say. And that's actually something that I have a whole module on in my radical self-love course, is like, how can I shift my perspective and see myself like through the eyes of source, God. Even though I know church teaches that God thinks you're horrible and you have to repent your sins and blah blah blah, the reality is that's not actually true. It's just
God
a power
does not
play.
think you're horrible.
And God doesn't think you're horrible. God actually created you perfect and awesome and totally lovable just the way you are.
God doesn't create mistakes. I don't understand why people think this. God doesn't create trash. He doesn't create imperfection. God only creates
trash.
Well, yeah, I saw that on Instagram. I was like, God doesn't create trash. And I was like, yeah, Instagram, for you. I don't know who posted it, but it was so good. It's like, all God creates is perfection. So what the hell? Who are we to believe that we are anything less?
Yeah, who are you to say that you're a sucky creation?
Which
like,
sounds
rude.
the opposite of self-love.
Way to poop on God. Yeah. So I want to touch on what you said about the emotional aspect, because I think this is one of the biggest, most important, most self-loving things you can do, is to give yourself the time and the grace and the space to feel how you feel, and to validate how you feel, and to support yourself through how you feel. And if you feel good, the self-loving thing to do is to embrace that and really take it in and let it sink in and enjoy it for all that it's worth. And if you're in distress of some kind and you're feeling upset, the self-loving thing to do is to tend to that and create resolve and create healing. And the only way to do that is to really sit with it, give it love, breathe through the process. This is like a huge thing that I teach at my self-love retreats, and my main like thing that I help people to do in my one-on-one coaching is processing your emotions in a healthy way where you're not hurting yourself and you're not hurting anyone else in the process. And that creates so much resiliency and freedom in your life. It's like, I would call it the emotional freedom technique if that wasn't already coined and that wasn't something completely else that we've actually done a podcast on. But I want to call it that because I feel like it does free you emotionally to not judge how you feel, to validate how you feel, to explore why you feel that way, to get your needs met, to get resolved, to give yourself love, to give yourself compassion, to give yourself grace and time and presence. Really, it's the unconditional presence with how you feel that is the self-loving aspect of it. So that's a huge part of my coaching and my retreats. And I think the number one thing that's helped me the most in my self-love journey is just learning how to feel how I feel without making it mean that I'm wrong or I'm bad or I'm always going to feel like this, or this means something negative about me. Like, literally, it just means that that's your inner experience right now, and it's for a valid reason. So just breathe through it and let
I feel
it
like
pass.
something that needs to be said, which is sad, but it does need to be said, is that I feel like you have to work so hard and go so far out of your way to be a bad person. So this fear of like, does this mean I'm bad? Like, No, do you know how hard you'd have to work to actually be a bad person? Think of all the things you would have to do to be a bad person at your core. All you are at your default is someone who's trying their best. That's it. Someone who's trying their best and, oh, by the way, is already perfect. So you really don't have to work that hard. You would have to work harder to be bad than you would to just let yourself be who you are, which is innately good and just trying their best and trying stuff.
Well, it's kind of the trap of self-improvement because in the
Mhm.
name, it already implies that you need improving,
Yeah. That's why we
right?
like
Which is kind of
self-empowerment
it's
better.
kind of fucked up. Yeah. So self-help is also kind of like not super empowering because it's like, oh, I
Yeah.
need help and only I can help myself. And I think there's some like shadow there too. But yeah, self-empowerment feels nice. Self-lovery is a fun word.
We just
Um,
we just said that today before the call because I think Kelsey found it on Instagram, self-lovery, hashtag self-lovery. And I was like, that is the cutest thing I've
it's
heard
cute.
in a long time. I really like that. And there's no one way that is the perfect way for everyone. Kelsey, you said it perfectly. Even like the self-help and self-development, they all have not everything's going to feel right to everybody, but someone could read self-help and be like, yes, I feel great. I feel like this is, what I need to do. So it's really personal. Most of everything you're going to be doing is personal, and it's okay that what works for us doesn't work for you. It's okay that what works for you doesn't work for us. Like, we are individuals, and that's what makes us so great, is that we can pick and choose. It's like a la carte. You can take what you want and leave the rest.
Exactly. So yeah, that's a huge part is the emotional aspect. Another really easy daily practice that you can start with, and I know I've taught this a couple times on the show, but it's worth repeating, is a simple practice where you just ask yourself the question, what would someone who loves themselves do?
Mm-hmm.
And whenever you go to make a decision, no matter how big, no matter how small, this could be like, should I quit my job big? Or like, should I eat a sandwich for lunch small? Like, it can range and answer any question, but you just tune in, take a little break, ask yourself, what would someone who loves themselves do? Or you can say, if I loved myself more, or if I loved myself fully, what would I do? And
Yeah.
then do that thing. And if you just for 1 year live by that one question, your life will be totally transformed for the better. And this is something that we practice at my retreats and something I give to a lot of my clients is like homework is how many days in a row can you live by this question?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's tricky.
And you don't always think of it, and
Well, and it's not always easy to do the answer that comes to you. Like, for example,
yeah.
in the job quitting analogy, if that's the most self loving thing to do, might not be the easiest thing or the answer that you wanted to hear. But if it's your truth, then you
It's
just
so funny because when I say this to my clients sometimes because it's just so at this point it's like not inevitable, but it's pretty common for like 3, 4 sessions in, someone will be like, so I did a thing. What'd you do? I broke up with so and so, or I filed for divorce, or I quit my job. And it's like once you can get on, first of all, I'm always like, almost like it's not, do they think it's me? Like, do they think I'm doing something to them? But then on a deeper level, I'm like, no, no, no. It's like once you become compatible with a certain vibration of self-love, everything outside of that will feel sharp. It will feel, rugged. It will feel wrong. It will feel, I don't know what the word I'm looking,
harsh.
abrasive. Yeah,
Mhm.
harsh. It will just be, you'll know that it is not compatible with you any longer because you're riding at this higher vibration. Hypnosis does that. Uh, Kelsey's work does that. The things that we teach people and the things that we do will teach you and show you how easy it can be to be in that higher vibration so that anything outside of that, relationships, people, places, jobs, anything just won't match anymore. And once it doesn't match, it will become so uncomfortable that, you know. So if you're afraid of real big change for the
Don't do this
better,
work.
don't do it. Put it off.
Don't do it.
But
Maybe the self loving thing is to not right now.
for now, until yeah. I
Because the
think
thing with that question is like every day the answer is going to be different.
yeah.
One day the self-loving thing for me to do might be to actually like indulge in some TV and rest and not expect myself to work. Another day the self-loving thing might be to get a big project done.
Yep.
So it's every moment's different. Every person, it's different. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just trying to get you to go towards the feeling of relief or joy. Relief and joy are good maps to follow when you're on the self-love journey.
This episode is sponsored by a5ffb, a prescription skincare company for people that are ready to take their acne seriously. Prescription acne treatment really works, but it is hard to get. You have to take time off work to see a doctor and sit in line at the pharmacy for your meds, which is super annoying until a5ffb. A5ffb makes it really easy to see a board-certified dermatologist online. You'll get treated immediately, and all your medications are delivered right to your home. Simply fill out a5ffb's online questionnaire about your skin concerns and medical history, then just snap a few selfies to send to your dermatologist, and they'll get back to you with a customized treatment plan tailored just for you. The best part is that a5ffb offers topical and oral medications so you can treat your acne from the inside out and the outside in. A5ffb treats acne, and they can also help you hit some other skincare goals like reducing redness, wrinkles, and even dark spots.
Yeah, I love Apostrophe. The sign up is really quick. I actually have some rosacea in my family history, so it's kind of a concern of mine. And my skin is 36 years old, so of course I'm going to be looking into like keeping my skin young. So you just answer some quick questions about what you're looking to improve with your skin, what your skincare goals are, and they give you a personalized plan. So I love the questionnaire. It's very simple and to the point, and it's nice to know that I have a real dermatologist and that my plan was tailored to me personally. And yeah, very quick, very easy. And when you get your prescription, is it a prescription? Yeah, prescription, I guess you can call it, in the mail. Unboxing is very easy. It comes with a little postcard and stickers and has your name right on the prescription bottle. So really cool, really personal. And right now you guys can get $15 off your first visit with a board certified dermatologist at apostrophe.com/vibin. Use our code VIBIN. This code is only available to our listeners. And to get started, just go to apostrophe.com/vibin and click begin visit. Then use the code VIBIN at sign up and you'll get $15 off your dermatology visit. That's apostrophe.com/VIBIN. And again, use that code VIBIN to get your dermatology visit for $15 off. And we thank Apostrophe for sponsoring this podcast. Did we ever talk about the emotional guidance scale on the show yet? And
I
if
don't
not,
think we've
why?
said it explicitly. There's like a big chart of it in my book, actually, my first book, #ActuallyICan. There's a whole page where I outlined the emotional guidance scale,
Yeah.
and you know how it's all the way at the bottom is fear and jealousy and blah, blah, blah. And then you go up into like boredom, and then you get into like more joy, excitement, love, all that.
I teach it in my membership. I just added it in. It's
I
so
think
good.
it's a useful tool to recognize like which emotions are closest to each other, so you don't expect yourself to jump from one end of
Yep.
the scale to the other in 5 seconds. Like there's a
Yep.
gradual progression that usually happens.
And wherever you are, no matter where you are, you can at least move up one. So that's nice.
Yeah, and it happens naturally when you accept where you are. That's the ironic part. Is like if you're in fear and you don't make it wrong to be in fear, and you can breathe through the fear and sit with the fear and understand it and have compassion for it, few moments of doing that, I feel better.
Yep. Move right
I
on
work
up.
with clients and they get like almost instantaneous relief. Like something that they've been struggling with, anxiety or depression, for like years. Give me 5 minutes with them and they will feel something they have not felt in a long time. Like it is crazy how powerful the work of unconditional loving presence, just giving that to yourself and not making how you feel wrong, can just transform things like in an instant.
Yeah, that's why what we do is so powerful. Props to us talking about
Heck yeah.
how successful we are. And how much we can help, because it's all coming from a place of helping.
Yeah, I get the people them results. I mean, what we do is self-love, because if you look at everyone else as a part of yourself, when you're loving them, you're loving yourself. As long as, you know, you're not hurting yourself in the process of loving other people, like how we said before. what other practices can we give the people today? We don't have to go into all of them all the time. I definitely want to give some resources at the end of this, so get your notepads out. But let's pick maybe one or two practices that are really great. I feel like, and we mentioned this earlier, people who love themselves stick to their boundaries and preferences.
Yes.
And we've done a
They
couple
don't
podcast
say yes when they
episodes
want
on
to say
this.
no.
They're really true to themselves. So, and the only way you can be true to yourself is when you know yourself, which is
The
hard.
only way you can know yourself is when you want to discover and
You have to have the
accept how you feel.
courage to look at whatever comes up. I think a lot of people don't want to know themselves because they're scared that it's going to be bad, but it never is bad. It's always good, like how you said.
If you're starting out, there's probably an emotion or two that you're afraid of feeling, and that is how you know that that's where you need to go. It is your loving roadmap that's telling you where the work can be done and where you'll feel the biggest relief.
And that's okay, because usually that resistance that you're feeling is the first thing that you need to be present with.
Exactly.
And then once you give some unconditional love to that resistance, that will slowly melt away. And then probably some other emotion that's unhealed will come up, and then that will slowly melt away. And then before you know it, you'll just feel relaxed and be like, wow, I never felt so peaceful before.